You gonna give a little note before we go live?
Oh yeah, we're live.
Got it. There's the note.
I see some folks trickling in. Hi everybody, happy Friday. I'm dialing in from Chicago and Connor is in Indianapolis. And Connor's going to be manning the chat for us today, but feel free to drop in where you're dialed in from.
Hey Chris, could you make sure on since you're the host on the chat here that um, everybody can participate?
Um, yeah, are you having an issue with that?
Oh, there we go.
Cool.
Yep. I don't think that everybody else can see each other, but I can see them. I see somebody's
Got
coming
it.
from Montreal. Um, Audrey from Canada, welcome. Like Chris said, I'm in Indianapolis. It's starting to turn to fall weather here, which I'm very happy about. LA, let's go. Hello, Lisa.
Thanks for joining, I guess for folks on the East Coast during your lunch hour on Friday. Hopefully the rest of the day is nice and easy after this. But we have quite a few people in here now, so want to go ahead and get started. So welcome, thank you all again. Assuming you're here to learn about building the ultimate D2C skincare loyalty program, you're in the right place. 1 second here. Boom. So just a quick introduction. You'll hear from both Connor and myself today. We are two of the co-founders at a company called Flaunt. We are a next generation loyalty platform as well as managed service retention partner for a handful of brands in the skincare and aesthetic space. So design loyalty programs, power them with our platform, for the brands that you see here. Like we mentioned a second ago, I'm based out of Chicago. Connor's based in Indianapolis, so both in the Midwest in the U.S. But super excited that you're here. Just a little bit of what to expect. So we just launched, like literally this morning, our ultimate guide to increasing conversion, retention, and LTV for skincare brands on Shopify. That is a mouthful to say, so I'm not going to say it anymore today. So today we're going to give you kind of a sneak peek of really part one of that, which is all around some of the work that we do when we kick off the process to just kind of audit your business. Both, more broadly your e-commerce business, but specifically any like retention and loyalty programs today. So we're really going to kind of dive deep on that part. And then I'll tee up in a second. There will be a part two coming in a couple of weeks. So after that, just sort of orientation around loyalty audits, we're going to put some of that theory into practice and do a mini audit for Murad. Which is, obviously a very well-known brand in the skincare space. And then, so we'll kind of show you how it works. And then lastly, for the last like 20 or 30 minutes or so, for any brave souls out there who want to drop your brand's URL in the chat, Connor is going to conduct sort of live mini audits or ideation sessions from taking a look at your sites, at your loyalty programs. You don't have to have a loyalty program in order to participate. But if you'd like for us to take, a quick 3 to 5 minute look around at what we see and share some ideas that you can take back to the team, we're happy to do it. So that's what we'll be covering today. Before we really dive into like the meat and potatoes of today's session, though, I wanted to share two offers that we're making available to everybody who's dialed in today. So one is, like I said, we're going to be walking through kind of end to end how our audit process works. If you're interested in taking us up on it, it's usually something that we include as part of our managed service offering. But we will do a free audit, and you don't have to have a program. As I said, we will do a free audit for your business if you reach out to me by I think next Friday is the 20th. And then the second offer, Connor, I'm going to let you tee that one up because I know that's something you're really excited about. So what's the second offer that we have for folks?
Yeah, and I think we'll get into this as part of the live like idea sessions and sort of problem sessions. where hopefully some of you will drop in your URL into the chat, and I can pull up and just sort of like browse your site and see if there's anything that I think could drive some incremental profits. One thing we've been seeing time and time again with skincare brands is they have this lovely skin quiz. I wish I could see everybody in the stand. I'd say raise your hands if you have a skin quiz. You probably do. And those are really valuable for a couple of reasons. Number one, it helps people get your initial customers like off on the right foot, and sort of match them based on their concerns with a routine that's right for them. But what we've seen is time and time again, people don't leverage that data on an ongoing basis to continue to personalize their marketing, communication, and promotions, so that you can sort of recommend and provide an incentive for customers to try that next product to expand their AOV and ultimately the amount of profits that you get over the lifetime of that customer relationship. We have developed a product and a solution that we're offering for a limited time to you all on the call, to activate us and to run a campaign for you that takes a look at your skin quiz data and designs personalized promotions for your customers, that has driven tons of incremental profits for some of our existing customers. So that is the offer, and we're really excited about it because it can drive a ton of value.
It works.
It works. Yeah,
Yeah.
really, really well.
Yeah. So definitely take us up on those. And then the other one, again, I just wanted to quickly drop in the QR code that you can scan and register for part 2. Again, today we're going to be focused on how to sort of audit your business to prep to design a loyalty program. And then part 2 is all about actually putting that into practice and designing and building out a really unique and differentiated loyalty program for you. So we're going to be covering that in depth on the 26th. So scan the QR code now, or we will share it at a few other points throughout the day today as well. Cool. So let's dive in. Housekeeping is behind us. So our goal for today is to really kind of give you guys a peek under the hood at our process, so you can take some of this back to your business. This will be, especially useful if you are currently in the process of designing a loyalty program, but also if you have a loyalty program today. We think of loyalty programs as they should not be, set it and forget it. They should be, a living, breathing marketing program that we're continuing to look at and optimize. And so we hope that there's, some unique value that we can share today that you can take back to your teams. Before I get into just kind of like our overall process, really like starting with the end in mind and kind of what we believe to be true about loyalty programs before we kick off any of this is, they need to be behavior stimulation machines. Said differently, like if you took the program away, or sorry, if they need to be impacting and influencing people to take behaviors that they wouldn't have otherwise done if you took the program away. So that's number one. They also need to be like a real differentiator for your business, something that reflects, all of your unique brand assets and the things that only you can bring to customers. And then lastly, they need to be profitable. What I love most about loyalty programs is that they really bring together left and right brain thinking. They're creative. They're a great surface area for, bringing your brand to life in a really fun and gamified way. But they're also rooted in the cold hard math and profitability about your business, and how much value you can really afford to give away at different tiers, depending upon, how big your business is, how your customers spend today, as incentives to encourage repeat purchases. So again, that's just like starting with the end in mind. So we don't just start like naming tiers and picking rewards. It's a really methodical process that starts with, what we're going to talk about today, which is doing an audit of your current state, in order to really inform how the program is going to get designed, and the metrics that we're going to evaluate it against, so that we can best measure the incremental impact that it's having on an ongoing basis, and then optimize the program with new offers and campaigns and challenges on an ongoing basis. So that's just kind of like zooming out our process on, analyzing your business, designing your program, and then measuring its incremental impact and optimizing it. But why do we do an audit in particular? Well, the first thing is quick wins. Like we almost always find some things in the process of doing an audit on a brand's e-commerce UX that are broken, or really just taking a step back and thinking about like the brand story, its origin story, its differentiation. We rediscover insights about your business that really could only be discovered by getting out of the sort of day-to-day flow. And this is a really just, great process and way to think about differentiating your loyalty program against your competitors. The second reason that we do it is to inform the KPIs, to set the KPIs that we want to build the program around influencing, and really like reacquainting ourselves with the customer life cycle and the experience that your customers have as they navigate through your site and your program, at different stages in their customer journey. And then the last thing that we want to do with an audit is make sure that we're really seeing things from the customer's vantage point. How are they interacting with your site on mobile versus on desktop? Do our emails have a really clear call to action and objective that grabs the user that just purchased for the first time versus somebody who's a loyalist? And what might be most important to me, as somebody who's navigating through your site and your program, if I'm, a top tier VIP versus somebody who's just, purchased with you for the first time. So that's why we do an audit. This is how we do the audit. So these are the steps that we take that I'm going to walk through, and we're going to share some specific examples on. And the process for us really starts around, I mentioned it a second ago, but just orienting ourselves in the brand's origin story and the things that make your brand unique. What are the things that your brand can say that nobody else in the market can say? Like, we're really trying to understand what sets you apart in order to create an authentic program. And Connor, knowing that you've just done a handful of these for skincare brands, I'd be curious to kind of hear you talk about, when you're going through this part of the process, like what are we looking for? And also any examples that have come to mind that have sort of informed how we've designed programs?
Yeah, of course. So what are we looking for? Skincare, as everybody that knows on this call, is a ruthlessly competitive industry, like so competitive. But when you get a customer, it is so core to their sort of personal self-confidence, their routine. And so once you have them, you really have the opportunity to, keep them forever. And so the outcome, like why we sort of scour and really try to understand the brand, is because we want the program that we ultimately design to be profitable and lean into whatever those differentiators are. If you only rely on giving cash back as part of your program, it's unlikely to be profitable, and it's unlikely to provide that extra sort of aspirational relationship or extra boost to your bottom line that a loyalty program promises, and why you start one. And so understanding the brand's differentiation and core pillars allow us to come up with unique rewards. That might be, if it's a founder-led brand like we're looking at here with Skin by Blair, she works with patients in her own practice, doing injections and other sort of treatments, as in addition to having her own line of skincare products. And so understanding like what assets can she bring to the table that's unique and with her brand to provide, an extra aspirational, like, I want to get to that next year, I want to spend a little bit more so that I can have that extra skincare consultation, so that I can get a little bit of, Blair's time, or so that I can be part of the formulation of the next product. Those are some of the things that we look for, because every part of the customer journey in this industry needs to have some level of differentiation and speak to what you can bring to the table that your competitors can't, so that you can retain customers and also provide value without just eating into your profit margins. So that's sort of the idea. That's an example with what we're looking at here with Blair Hayes.
Totally. That's so good. And you mentioned the customer journey. So I'll kind of jump ahead here to step two. So once we've kind of rooted ourselves in the brand's, unique story and differentiators, we actually go through the entire process as a first-time customer and a repeat customer as well. And the things that we're looking at here, we're trying to really just understand the end-to-end purchase journey and any sort of like friction points that might come up along the way. Once I've purchased for the first time, maybe I've earned my first reward. I now have a discount maybe that I can apply to my next purchase. Is there anything that we're uncovering here in terms of friction in actually applying that discount? Is it really a really seamless process, or do I have to go through a few hoops and taps in order to add that discount? Just as an example, or is the value proposition, the core value proposition of the brand and of the program, is that kind of like hidden in the background? Is that not really surfacing throughout the customer journey? Are we not really kind of nudging them toward the next best action? So those are some of the things that we look at in terms of, just like your overall e-commerce experience and UX. And importantly, we really prioritize mobile here because that's where a lot of skincare purchases are coming from, at least for the brands that we work with. Connor, and anything that you would add in particular on this one?
Yeah, the other thing I look for is just like what data are we collecting on customers? Because like I mentioned up at the top with the personalized skin quiz, I always take the skin quiz and I'm just thinking about like how could they enhance my experience and nudge me to go further if I based on the information that I'm giving. And post-purchase, are we getting are we taking advantage of that opportunity to sort of like get some additional, where'd you come from? What are, what type of post-purchase surveys are we conducting? And is the loyalty program and any other just like promotion discount, like are we incentivizing that to maximize the data that we're collecting? So that's another, sort of thing that I'm always on the hunt for when going through that organic customer experience.
Yeah, totally. That post-purchase UI is oftentimes like one of the most underutilized pieces of real estate that we see when we're doing these audits. So that's a really good insight. Cool. I mentioned that loyalty programs are sort of left brain meets right brain. So the next stage in the process is actually getting our hands dirty and really analyzing your Shopify data in order to establish the key benchmarks that the program is going to be built around. So we're looking at 6-month retention rate. We're looking at your 12-month LTV. We're looking at average order value, and then we're ultimately creating a financial model that is going to project out the impact of your business with and without a loyalty program against some of these key metrics. Connor, and anything in particular that you're looking for when you're doing this analysis, and what sort of reports are you pulling when you're going into Shopify? Anything that might help the folks that are tuned in?
Yeah. So I like this is, and I think one thing I was going to say, previously looking at the customer experience, like this audit is not like loyalty specific. Like this is everything, like you've acquired a customer, like everything that happens next is really like what we're focused on. Like, for example, this isn't a financial model that's just about the loyalty program. Like this is about your retention curve. And there's so much that goes into that. This is about, what are the trends in your first time customer spend? Like what's the quality of customers that were coming and, getting in the door relative to, previous cohorts. In terms of specific reports, there's a customer cohort analysis that you can go into your Shopify site and just like look at right away. But looking at trends in that data and like what the impact is to your total sales, if you're able to drive a little bit higher, let's say like 3-month onward retention, and if we could increase the average spend for like some of those outer cohorts, and what's the trend in long-term customers, like that 13+ month cohort of customers that has been with us for a long time. We have some brands that it's like once they're in the door for 12 months or after 12 months, like it's like 99.9%, you know, ongoing retention. Then we have other customers that have gone through swings with COVID, and like, you know, they have they're scaling their brand. And so they are working on, and we sort of look at the TAM penetration of all of the customers that have, you know, eventually become 13+ month customers. How many of those do you have? And so we always tweak the financial model based on the brand story and where they've been as a business. And then the other thing that we look for is just like the biggest opportunities to make an impact to sales relative to what we see in other companies. Like, where do we think that we can make an impact? And we set very, very specific KPIs that that are informed by, you know, the trends in some of that data. Like if your retention curve has been going, you know, has been trending in a positive way, or if your new customer acquisition has started to slow down because of you've been experiencing like troubled CAC, like we just take all of that into consideration so that we can really have targets that we believe in, that we're trying to beat with the loyalty program.
Yeah, and I think that's so important too, because, you know, one of the things that we hear like time and time again from folks who do have programs is, you know, the measurement of the program and sort of what KPIs we're optimizing it toward is like murky. And I just like, I don't have a lot of confidence, is something we hear a lot. I don't have a lot of confidence in whether or not my program is impacting the important metrics that our business has. So this is such an important part of the process and sort of the benchmark setting that goes into ultimately designing the loyalty program again in the next step.
And the other thing that I'll call out, because that's an awesome point, is like you'll notice that like the number of redemptions and like the loyalty program like enrollment rate and some of these other number of redeemers and the average sales of redeemers versus non-redeemers, like that's not like what we're targeting. That's a lot of times what your loyalty program metrics like sort of report on. But we are like trying to impact your bottom line in business. And so all of those loyalty metrics are only in service of like, is that LTV number like going up and lifetime profits going up? Are these discounts that people are unlocking? Like, is it actually lifting the bottom line? This is how we hold ourselves accountable to making that happen.
Totally. Well, then we get into step 4, which is really like taking a similar, you know, data backed approach, but looking at products specifically. So Connor, do you want to just talk a little bit about, you know, some of the things that you're looking at here when you're analyzing, you know, the different scope of products that brands are offering?
Yep. The other thing I'll just mention, like on the chat, somebody asked if this is going to be available, if the recording is going to be available. Unfortunately, I can't chat as the chat master. I can't chat with anybody in the chat right now. So, but Chris, yes, we're making this recording available, right?
Yes. Yep.
And I think the presentation as well.
Yep.
So diving deep into products, I think it's just really important to understand, you know, skincare brands, different, you know, there's different, like where you sit in the market, your margin looks a little different. And we can't design a loyalty program where we think about like how much are we sort of giving away in order to try to get more, or how much margin are we making available to unlock for top customers, unless we know, you know, what your margin looks like. The other thing that's important is trying to find these pairing opportunities, because we are trying to retain customers, but we're also trying to expand. And so understanding, you know, the profitability and some products might be, you know, if we give them away for free as part of the program and make them available for free, we need to understand what the true cost of giving that away for free is. And so like the cost to produce that product is just important for us to keep in mind. So this helps us identify upsell opportunities, and it also helps us ensure that your program is designed in a profitable way.
Yeah, 100%. And the only other thing that I would add to that is, you know, when we have an idea of, you know, popular product sequences, it helps us design more personalized like loyalty campaigns or offers as part of ongoing ways to, again, loyalty programs should not be set it and forget it. They are living, breathing things that should have ongoing offers and be part of how you are showing up in the way that you are messaging to customers, which we'll talk about here in a second. But understanding, what those popular product pairs might look like becomes really great insight for us to design different loyalty campaigns around. So the last and final step here, step number 5, is really about getting it under the hood in your email and SMS tools to help us better understand, not only how you're sort of segmenting your customers today and how you're messaging to them, but what's working and what's not. Marketing automation and these like email and SMS in particular, if you have an app, push notifications as well, are really the workhorse of any great loyalty program. Otherwise, it's just going to sit there on your site, and people are only going to think of it when they're at checkout and realize they have discounts to redeem. That's not highly incremental. So really understanding what's working across your different channels today, is really important to us in terms of how we think about the different campaigns and nudge flows that we're going to set up and create for you as part of the loyalty program. Connor, and any final thoughts on that you would add to that?
Yes. One problem that I see, clients encountering is just like marketing communication and promotions and trying to figure out, like, I have subscribers, I have loyalty members, I have this new, campaign, I have an influencer campaign going on. So just trying to like sort that out, even again, outside of just managing the loyalty program, like when we're your sort of managed service retention partner, where we're trying to look at like hold ourselves, do anything we can from our seat to increase your retention and LTV, helping think through just the customer life cycle and developing a customer life cycle model for your business, and understanding, how many customers have churned, like what's our opportunity to win people back. Sometimes launching a new loyalty program, or even just the offers that we can administer through the loyalty program, can be a great tool to try to reactivate customers that were loyal to you for some time, but for whatever reason dropped out. So anyway, just trying to help our clients think through targeting the right customer segments with the right campaigns and promotions is another like big part of what this work enables us to do.
Yep. So that's kind of the 5-step process, guys, that we go through, every time we are about to embark on designing a loyalty program. Again, we're not jumping right to, hey, what should we name the program and what are the tiers going to be? It's really familiarizing ourselves in the current state of retention and lifetime value for your business across all of these different buckets. What are the unique things that we can be bringing to life so that we can ultimately take all of that information and design a really compelling and engaging and differentiated loyalty program, which is, again, what we're going to cover next time. I realize some people might have to drop off here at the half-hour mark. So I did want to, again, share the QR code to sign up to register for the next session. But we are about to shift gears and do that sort of mini loyalty audit for Murad, as I mentioned at the top. So going to start to put some of this into practice. And, in this one, obviously, didn't have access to sales data, marketing communication data. So really just kind of focused on, doing a brief audit around understanding the brand story and differentiation, the e-commerce experience today. And I did do, quite a bit of focus on the rewards program today and sort of value prop there. So we'll focus a decent chunk on that. But also, just like the email flows and, as somebody who went through the process of purchasing for the first time, what were the different emails that I was getting? How is the loyalty program showing up in that to help, make those messages more compelling? So,
Chris, before we get into this,
Yeah.
I just want to remind people, if you want me to take a look at and sort of do some live discussions on your company's site, please drop the URL into the webinar chat. And also any any problems that you might have. Like, what's the biggest problem that you are facing with retention right now? That would also be, helpful as I take a look at some of those sites while Chris is going through the sort of the bigger deep dive that we have with Murad, so that we can make that last bit useful for not only the people that are giving us that information, but something tells me that other people in the audience might be facing some of the same problems.
Totally. Yeah. So definitely feel free to drop your URL in the chat, and we'll do a little bit of a mini ideation session for you right after this one. So I went through that process again, an abridged version, because we don't have access necessarily to the sales data here, but just kind of what I could see from the surface level with Murad. And the first thing that really jumped out at me is just the crazy amount of unique and differentiated brand assets that this brand has. So it was founded back in 1989 by Dr. Howard Murad. He's a dermatologist, pharmacist, and clinical professor, probably better known as the father of modern wellness. So I'm right. I'm already starting to think about just like the sort of face behind this brand and the brain behind this brand. And then I start to dig a little bit deeper. So they have a huge mission around mental health and stress awareness. That's really interesting. That's not something that I've seen in doing a lot of these other, skincare audits previously. And that's all based on research that Dr. Murad did around, the importance of internal wellness on skin health. So cool. I'm thinking about some of the interesting things there. They support some, charities and organizations that are specifically focused on mental health and stress awareness. There's one coming up actually in October called Stress Less Week that they're pretty involved with. So that's interesting. How might that kind of weave its way into the loyalty program? But because of, again, this storied history and sort of clinical research that has been led by the founder of this business, they also have this amazing blog with a ton of content. Now, a lot of people might just do this for SEO, and that's fine too. But there's a lot of really useful and helpful content that they might be able to, share with people and encourage people to engage with as part of their journey with the brand and just add more value to them. Dr. Murad also has a handful of books. We think about how can you sort of differentiate your rewards proposition. He's written several books on everything from health and happiness to like cellulite solutions. So, they cover like a pretty wide gamut. One other thing that we always like to do is go through the Instagram account and just pull out any sort of insights there. Obviously, very large following at close to 700,000 followers. But what I could kind of surmise was a big focus on like building community and, hosting various types of, pop-up events. So events, how might events show up in the context of, the loyalty proposition, and how might we encourage people to attend them? How might we reward them via the loyalty program for showing up? All those sorts of things. Again, not to jump too far ahead to the design, but just, pulling out unique nuggets that are more than just cash back for, buying skincare products. My favorite insight of all was just the amount of tools that they have, that they've made accessible to customers to help them get tailored support. So Connor talked a little bit about, skin quizzes and how that's become, much more pervasive, and how we're sort of using that for delivering personalized offers. So that's a box that's being checked here. But there's a handful of other personalization opportunities that kind of go above and beyond on more of the services side here that, again, maybe if possible, could be useful in the context of thinking about loyalty programs and how to really, like juice the perceived value of the program, once you continue to spend and level up to higher tiers. So everything from virtual skin consultations to actually being able to book derm appointments directly from their site. And then they also do some virtual skin wellness workshops. So just a whole heap of different things that really differentiate Murad based on, what you would, just think of when you talk about any old skincare brand, right? They really have a storied history here and a lot of unique brand assets to leverage. The next thing I did is I did want to look at the rewards program today. So how's it structured? How's it woven into the UX? And how is it, tapping into some of this differentiation? So, in short, it's kind of a hybrid tiered benefits plus earn and burn points model. So there's 4 tiers. You level up as you spend a certain amount over the course of the year. The biggest benefit of being able to continue leveling up is that you get bigger points bonuses when you reach higher tier thresholds. And then, once you have a certain bank of points that you earn on purchases, on writing reviews, and then, following their social accounts, you're able to burn those on free products. So that's kind of, a unique piece here relative to some other programs that may be more like discount or, gift card oriented. You actually have the opportunity to burn points on products. There's a cool tie-in with the subscription program, which we always like to see. So you get 2x the points on any subscription purchases. And then there's a referrals program that kind of functions separately. A lot of times you see rewards and referrals kind of work together as one program. In this case, they're separate, pretty basic, give 15, get 15. So just like pulling out some of the things that Murad's doing really well that we really like to see. So the first one is, there are certainly some ways maybe to think about other more differentiated rewards, but your products are, one of your most differentiated assets, and people love free stuff. And so, just having these be like really easy to comprehend, they're very tangible, they're not like, unlike points, like they are like a physical product is like, something that is, very tangible. And then it's also a great opportunity, as Connor was talking about, like kind of expanding with customers in terms of, the different products that they're buying. It's an opportunity for people to try something new. So love to see that. Love to see subscriptions and loyalty working in concert, even if it's just, double points in this case. In the loyalty dashboard, I love to see that the skin quiz was something that was kind of being like promoted directly within there. There's obviously so many other things that they could nudge people to go do, but taking the skin quiz was one that they're really prioritizing. So again, would love to see, how they're kind of using that data on an ongoing basis beyond just the initial recommendation. Really timely email flows. Again, we mentioned that being the sort of workhorse behind any rewards program, but I also love that there was a really clear call to action here. Like oftentimes you'll see these emails that are like, hey, congrats, you've leveled up to the next tier. Here's a reminder on how the entire program works. And it's just this wall of information. And then there's like a call to action at the bottom that's like, hey, redeem your points here. So I love that they're leading with that at the top and being really clear in a loyalty email about the next best action that I want you to take. Talked about desktop versus mobile. The UI and UX is very well optimized for mobile. I did experience one bug entering my birthday to try to get some points for that on the mobile. So it might just be something to check out. Again, as part of these audits, we're always uncovering new things. And it's just a great opportunity to kind of, go through the entire customer experience. And then I love how, they're prioritizing the rewards program and status. It's part of the main nav if you go on the website, and then it also shows up at checkout in terms of being able to redeem your rewards. You can see I was able to redeem 100 points to try out a new product there at checkout. And then what happened immediately after I made a purchase was there was a pop-up that referred me to, or that prompted me to refer a friend. And so I sent a link over to Connor. I don't know, Connor, if you made a purchase or not, but love that there was just some clear thinking around, hey, somebody's just purchased. What is the next best thing that I want to ask them to do? Did feel like there was maybe some opportunity to better utilize, like once I click out of that post-purchase UI, which I'll talk about in a second, but just all in all, doing some things very, very well today. The opportunity areas that I focused on, we talked about all the things that are making this brand really, really unique, all the unique assets that they have at their disposal. Felt like just sort of the benefit differentiation. Like once you get up to higher tiers, most of the benefits that you see like in that sort of tiered chart are available to every member at every tier. So it might be an opportunity to think about, how do I really create more aspiration to continue to spend by weaving in some of these more, experiential things or giveaways at the higher tiers that can tap into some of those unique assets, like the books, like consultations, like, being able to attend an event and those sorts of things. One other just like piece of feedback here or kind of insight was, if you look at like the activity tiles on the bottom right, pretty just like, I don't know, for lack of a better term, kind of off brand a little bit. And then in the top image there, you can see, I was having trouble with the header images loading on desktop. So it just felt like a pretty blank and basic, experience. It wasn't, it's clean, but it's not, really reflecting all of the like beautiful colors and everything else that you see showing up throughout the rest of the website. So that's just one piece, like bringing the value prop up and creating more opportunity for differentiation. Just diversifying some of the opportunities for people to earn and, create brand love through adding value to them. So just with the mission that you guys are supporting around, mental health and stress awareness, just really felt like there was an opportunity for Murad to, encourage people and reward them for reading up on that mission or supporting some of the different charities that they support. As well as, just reading up and maybe even sharing on social some of the educational content that they put out. And then, of course, the skin quiz. So how might you think about, incentivizing people to actually take your skin quiz and then go a step further and maybe even purchase one of the recommended items to get, an even bigger points bonus. So diversify earning opportunities, more ways to create brand love by making it feel, closer to the heart and also just a little bit more personalized. And then just some other ideas that we've seen, be really successful that might help, drive some more incremental revenue and engagement. One is, those activity tiles are great. They're really clear. These are the ways that I can earn. But they're not really, they just kind of sit there. And then, they're not really kind of grouped in any sort of way. One thing that we've seen be really successful is taking some of those activities and reframing them into these multi-step challenges that nudge people at different stages of the customer lifecycle. So after I've made my very first purchase, what are the next best actions that I, as Murad, want to get people to do? Well, if they don't already follow me across all my social channels, maybe there's a challenge that's like, hey, stay connected with us. Follow us across these social channels. Make sure you sign up for our email newsletter, and our texts as well. And that might be like sort of a challenge that you could package up to get people to do all of those things all in one fell swoop. And then you can think about, all right, what are the other ways that beyond that initial purchase, I can sort of package up and gamify different activities and engagement behaviors throughout the customer lifecycle. We talked a little bit about using the skin quiz data for personalized loyalty offers. I did get an offer on the products that were recommended to me immediately after taking the quiz. It's only been a few days, so I don't know. It's possible that maybe you kind of follow up and send other personalized recommendations with that. How could that get woven into the loyalty program? And then the last piece of sort of insight and advice here is really just using that post-purchase UI beyond just that kind of referrals pop up. And then the next thing I'm looking at is when my order is going to arrive in Chicago. How could you utilize that really valuable real estate to get people to share a little bit more about themselves through a survey or a quiz, or even take that next best action, complete stay connected challenge as an example. So those are just some of the ideas that again became a little bit more loyalty program specific that might help you kind of level things up here. So that is just like a little bit of a mini audit. Connor, have there been any folks drop their URL in so far? You're on mute.
Thank you. Gracie from Frownies dropped in one of the things that she's and the team is focused on with that brand. So I've been, while you were going through the Murad audit, I was doing a little bit of diligence and putting my brain to work for Frownies. So I can sort of
All right.
share a little bit about what I was thinking.
Let's see what you got. Take me off the hook for a second.
Yeah, I'm doing a lot of talking. I need you to stop sharing so I can go ahead and share.
Yep.
Cool. So in just like a couple minutes, I'll start with kind of what I've been learning about Frownies. So awesome story. The I always start with Instagram. I just find sometimes that so many brands invest in, particularly in this category, invest so much in the content and the education, the edutainment, if you will, in what is in engaging with customers here. And I always sort of, when I try to get a pulse and a vibe for the brand and what the different types of campaigns that I would love to see happening in a loyalty program or a VIP program, whatever part of the customer journey you're like, okay, once you're here, you're a part of our community, and we're going to do certain things for you, and we're going to keep progressing those things as you sort of progress with us. This is a lot of times where I start. So lots of education. The story is also created a single woman creating a product for all women that would give them a little control over their beauty. And it sounds like it's been in the family. So that story feels like such an asset. Like as soon as somebody signs up, creates an account, whether it's the rewards program or makes their first purchase, like, I would want that story to just be like reinforced and sort of front and center in all of the, communications. Which one thing that I would note is if you're thinking about revamping your your rewards and subscription, having that, like, you've made a subscription or you've made a purchase, like you're fighting for that second subscription, and trying to minimize the probability that people are just gonna turn off it, get the subscribe and save and get the heck out of here and risk not talking to you again. So as you're doing this revamp, I would really focus on get a good pulse, I'm sure you do, of that month one retention for subscribers, and try to get all of this greatness and all of this amazing story and all of the other unique parts of your brand, and get that into your post customer communication. Because one thing that I've seen just so far, I made a purchase, I'm a subscriber now, is that it's just sort of like taking advantage of Shopify, like sort of templates, like new customer account confirmed. So it feels like the brand is just really special. It feels like there's an opportunity to start educating me and making sure that I know all of the unique things about your products and about this company after I've made a purchase. As it relates to so here's a good example. I wanted to call out this post-purchase. Great to have this survey. There's also some other ways that you can get additional information. One thing that it's great to throw up a post-purchase survey, but trying to, whenever you have these different touch points, to collect data. And like that's, if somebody said, I only want like a VIP membership, or I only want a rewards program, it's okay to have the bulk of your, the bulk of the customer value, like, in terms of rewards and unlocking discounts for your subscribers. But the reason to think about the bigger pie of your customers is because the loyalty program and your like rewards program has the opportunity to collect valuable data and information from them, like reward a survey, reward taking a skin quiz, which might be on here. I know that you have products segmented by your by different skin concerns, but I would love to see and see collecting some of that in the form of a skin quiz. If that's not already part of your site experience, I would recommend that, especially if you're taking our recommendations and having a way to activate that. So just as you're thinking about having these things work together, thinking about what do you want to get out of those. I just got some additional post-purchase communication, by the way, so that I assumed that there would be something else besides just like the initial account creation. So just making sure that you don't miss out on the opportunity to collect valuable information and personalize your communication and offers to people, even if they haven't subscribed. That's the only thing that I would mention as you try to revamp this and have subscriptions work together. It looks like you're using Absol potentially for your subscription portal. There are some other providers as well that allow you to have, you know, a loyalty and rewards and sort of campaign widget within the subscription management experience, which is great. And the other thing, just again, the VIP membership versus just don't miss out on the opportunity to maximize the revenue and convert and communication and rewards to convert those people that might be purchasing without subscribing to ultimately become a subscriber. And the rewards program can help be a tool to make that happen. I'd also just call.
Hey, Connor.
Yeah.
There's a question from Gracie around any recommendations on the subscription providers.
We really like Skio as a partner. Skio has the ability to, they're used by skincare brands. So that's one. Recharge is another one that, like, we've had some customers that have migrated from Absol to Recharge. One thing, I Recharge for some of their more like basic plans, they have, there's a few things that they do that make it a little bit tough to have a loyalty and a rewards program work really well together. So we happen to like Skio, and anybody else in the chat, like there's a lot of people in similar places. You know, share some of your, feel free to share and help Gracie out as she's, you know, making some big decisions for helping retain her customers. So those are just a couple of ideas. I'd love to see you collecting more data and using it so that you can use it to personalize the experience. And even if a joint VIP membership and rewards program is really heavily focused on subscription, which I think makes sense, don't miss out on the opportunity to increase the engagement and revenue and customer lifetime value with people that might not have yet subscribed. So make sure that you really take into consideration the whole potential revenue pie. Those are my quick on the fly recommendations in 10 minutes.
That's great. Well, I think we're probably going to run out of time to do any more, but a couple of just quick reminders that I wanted to share people. First of all, thank you all for coming. Really hope that this was useful. I mentioned that we just launched this literally this morning on our site. So feel free to scan that QR code there to go and check out the full guide. Again, next time we're going to be kind of diving into part 2 of that, which is taking all the insights from the audit and then, you know, designing a really differentiated loyalty program. So Connor's going to walk through that process. But also just a quick reminder to take us up on, you know, these offers. So either the free audit that, you know, we can do kind of more of the surface level, or if you're willing to share, you know, access to like your Shopify and Klaviyo as an example, we can kind of get our hands dirty in there and come back with, you know, a little bit more data-backed insight. But if you also have an active skin quiz and you're on Shopify and Klaviyo, we'd love to launch a personalized offer campaign for you that, again, we've seen drive a lot of success for clients in some early tests. So
yeah, if you want to drive, try to sneak in a couple $100,000 of incremental profits and far more LTV before Black Friday, Cyber Monday hits, hit us up, because we'd love to take that for a test run with you.
Yeah. So that's all we have for you guys today. Thank you so much again for joining. Feel free to reach out. My email's here, or Connor is Connor at Flaunt Loyalty. We'd love to connect and help out if we can. But thank you all, and enjoy the rest of your Friday, and hope you have a great weekend.
Bye, everyone.